I believe we have a mystery afoot, my dear Watson.
Yeah.
A dubious mystery indeed. But good evening to all of my Biconics wrestling nerds out there, and welcome to another edition of Los Chicos Gordos, your NXT tag team review team here. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joined with me this evening is my lovely co-host, my brother in arms, my bestie, my just all the adjectives I could possibly think of, but brain's fried right now, so I can't really list them. But Will, welcome back to another review. I am so happy to have you here.
So are we doing accents again? Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. See, this is what happens when your brain is just like on the
Yeah.
verge of
Yeah, I
tiredness.
gotcha. Like,
You're gonna get a very
delirium.
you're gonna get the delirium, and you're gonna get a very unfiltered version tonight. So we'll
It's
see if we
fair.
get canceled or
That's
not. Um, but honestly, like I my mental state kind of perfectly describes my feelings on this episode of NXT.
Yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
I'm gonna put this out there. This is a spoiler warning at the very beginning of this review. Me and Will are probably going to repeat ourselves a lot because overall we still enjoyed the episode, but this was definitely an episode for transition in the sense that we're coming off of 2 weeks of Halloween Havoc. We're 4 weeks out from the deadline pay per view, so we're starting to build for those. But then we're also trying to continue to have matches on NXT Tuesday television. So, and also randomly, we had main roster people show up, like with no inkling or anything. So I'm confused only because, as someone who reviews Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, I was like, but these people are involved in storylines. Why are they down? Oh, sure, whatever, fine.
It's like the rebound episode, like we broke up with Halloween Havoc and now we're going with this one. We know we're not going to stay with it, but maybe the next episode will be the keeper. I don't know.
I mean, there are a couple of people through our text messages that are like, "Oh, you are definitely a keeper." We'll talk about one specific gentleman as we get closer to the end of the show. But, So, without further ado, let's just dive into this episode. So, we opened up NXT this week after getting a bit of a recap of Halloween Havoc Night 2. Oh, really quickly, I should have told Will off camera, but NXT related news before we jump in. So, the Creeds have officially made their main roster debut. So, they signed their main roster contracts. So, I believe that the Creeds are now have graduated from NXT and are now on Monday Night Raw. Both the Creeds
Aw.
and Ivy Nile, so all three of them got to stay together.
Aw, well, yay, but aw.
I know. I was like, I feel like we could have done more with the Creeds, but you know what? They're on main roster. They're killing it. And I am happy that they didn't split Ivy from the boys.
Right.
Because a lot of the NXT factions tend to get split up when we get to main roster. But
Yeah.
so
I'm happy for them. I am. I'm happy for them.
I'm sad they're not going to be on
Yeah.
NXT television. But this getting to main roster is what all the NXT kids are working for. And so
Right.
Julius, Brutus, and Ivy, Los Chicos Gordos, congratulate you. And we're both excited to see you go onto main roster. And thank you for giving us all the fun memories we've had with you in NXT.
No,
But without further ado, let's jump back to all the kids that we still got. So we open NXT this week with an NXT Heritage Cup match between the challenger Akira Tozawa coming in tow with the rest of his squad of Alpha Academy, which is Chad Gable, Otis, and Miss Maxine Dupree. Listen, I was like, Chad Gable is short king. I love him so much. He is great. Otis is a ball of fun, and Maxine is also pretty good too. I love this little interaction with this faction. And then, of course, challenging the champion, Noam Dar, who comes out with Metaphor. I love their cheesy entrance. It's so great. I was like, superhero. Love it. So, overall, I actually really enjoyed this match because okay, so because I've known Akira Tozawa for a while now for main roster, he always gets used as a joke character, and everybody forgets he can actually wrestle. And so technically, he was still being comedic during this match, but I was like, oh yeah, I forgot Akira Tozawa can actually wrestle.
Yeah, it's so funny. I didn't know who these people were. I didn't. Again, and I didn't know who Tozawa was. I didn't know who the Alpha. I did literally had to like pause and then go Google the Alpha Academy because I was like, who are they? I was like, and I just, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, you're right. Tozawa's kind of a squirrely character. Like he's like when well, that's more towards the end, but there's a moment where he's all like, "Ah," and I'm just like, what is going on right now? Because I mean, yeah, you're right. He was, man, he was kicking Dar's ass in that ring. I mean, he was. I mean, Dar was like, "Oh God, help me!" Because there was the one. I think it was after the. Was it after the first, or maybe it was the second time, the second pin, or not pin, but he submit. He made him submit, and
Yeah, we made
he
him
was in
tap.
his corner going, "Help me!" Everyone was focusing on Takawa, and he was like, "Help me, help me!" I was like, "Is that Noam Dar crying
Yes.
like a girl in the corner?" And it sure was. And I was there for it. I was like, "Oh my god, that is so funny! It's so funny." And I mean, I liked this match. It was good. I thought it was silly. I did. I mean, they fought. I mean, they were hard hitting, but it had a silly sort of feel because there was the one moment where you know Tozawa was all like the cup. It's like, and he just like froze and stood there looking at the cup, and I was like, what is going on right now? I was like, it's a comedy sketch, and with like hitting. It was so funny. I was laughing so hard during this match, and but I really liked it. I don't know. I guess that's why I liked it because it was kind of light and fun and silly, and I don't know. It was really like I said, it was okay. It wasn't bad. It was good. I didn't hate it. It just felt like a fun time, you know. And it got kind of again, and Mikey and I were talking about this off camera, but how everything kind of just felt out of whack. I mean, it's just like does it belong? Why is it here? Why are we doing this? Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
NXT is calling us, you guys.
I
We're
know.
about to get the call.
We got in trouble. Hey, you go ahead. I gotta take this real quick. So
Okay,
you weigh in.
got it. So I will take it from here as Will is talking to Shawn Michaels to see if me and him made the NXT cut. Uh, I will say I thought this was a lot of fun. I kind of figured that Akira Tozawa wasn't going to win the Heritage Cup, but I did enjoy the match. Now, of course, this is a residual from the fact of what we set up last week during Halloween Havoc. The only reason this match existed is because Akira Tozawa stole the cup and forced Noam Dar to give him a match. Otherwise, he wasn't going to get the cup when they all went through the haunted house and whatnot. So that was a lot of fun. So Noam Dar picks up the first victory. Akira Tozawa gets the second one. And as Akira is looking to make it pin number 2 for him in the final round, of course, metaphor shenanigans are abound. You know, Lash Legend pulls Noam Dar out of the way just in time before, Akira Tozawa hits the 450 splash on him, which allows Noam Dar to pin Akira Tozawa for the win and to retain the NXT Heritage Cup. Again, I thought this was a fun opener match. It did what it needed to. It was kind of silly, but in the grand scheme of everything, this was also kind of weird in the sense I was just like, no shade, but how do we go from having a baller match between Noam Dar and, you know, Butch slash Pete Dunne, and then Akira Tozawa is going to be like, fine. Sure, why
I
not?
didn't understand. I was like, now again, I didn't know who Tozawa was. I thought, the funny thing is, because we've been talking about was it the New Japan and all that, so these the Japanese wrestlers and blah blah blah. So I thought this was going to be like a serious match. I thought this was even in the haunted house when we did the haunted house during Halloween Havoc, and Tozawa was there, and he's like, "I want this," blah blah. I was like, "Ooh, okay, this is going to be cool. He's going to like, we're bringing this Japanese style fighting style to America, and it's going to be like, you know, I don't know, but this was not what I thought it was going to be. And I was telling Mikey off camera, like, I don't understand why this happened. It felt so out of place. This one Heritage Cup. I mean, personally, I don't think it should have opened the night. I felt it set me, Will, I felt that it set up the wrong pretense for the night. Because immediately I think, okay, they opened with a Heritage Cup, so this is going to be a night of like championships, like title fights, things like that, and which is not at all what we got. So I don't know. There's another fight that happens later on that should have opened. If they wanted to open something silly, they should have opened it up with the other one. But I don't know. And it's hard. I can't even put it into words what it is. It's just, like I said, the episode wasn't bad, but I just didn't understand. I didn't understand I didn't understand what the stakes are. I mean, if it's like, okay, I don't think it served a purpose is my point.
It was just a match to have a match, which I
Yeah.
guess is fine, but still, I mean,
yeah, but it didn't have a regular match, not a Heritage Cup match. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because there was no stakes to it. I mean, there was no weight. There was no weight to it. I don't know. It was really weird. I don't know.
Well, that was the big first question for both of us, and we're going to keep asking all these questions. So let's just jump into it there, because I'm going to be honest, we went like 20 minutes without our next match because I love NXT, but this is my biggest issue with it. Like when these types of episodes, like they place everything in such weird spots. I was like 20 minutes before we got another match. I was just like, normally I expect this type of booking like during the go home show where you have to jam in all the last minute promos and vignettes and everything before the pay-per-view in a couple days. But I'm like, we're 4 weeks away from deadline. There was no need to put all this stuff before your match. So to go through this really quickly, first we get the legend Mick Foley, who makes a film on his iPhone recording. Basically telling us that, this week Shawn Michaels had asked him to look at the NXT roster and pick the men's and women's match for the Iron Survivor qualifying matches. And Mick Foley has chosen for the women that it would be Tiffany versus Fallon Henley tonight. And then for the men, it would be Dijak versus our little strong boy, Tyler Bate. So I was like, Mick Foley, excellent choices. I love all four of these people. This should be fun. Then in the ring, we get the first appearance of our new NXT Women's Champion, Lyra Valkyria, who basically runs down her match, how she loves Becky, and but she had something to prove, and she did, and she's excited to see what challenges, the NXT Women's division is going to bring her. And I was on board. And then I kind of got lost because all of a sudden a wild Xia Li was making her way through the audience. And I'm like, WWE in general, what are we doing? Like, Xia Li and Becky are currently having a feud on main roster, but now she's in NXT. Don't get me wrong. Xia Li versus Lyra Valkyria is a match I want to see so bad. Only because I was like, who has the better roundhouse kick? I did appreciate Xia Li kick the security guard. I was like, bam.
That was my favorite part of that whole thing. Because the rest of it, I was like, why are we doing this right now?
And my thing is like, so is Xia Li going to be facing Lyra at deadline? Or are we going to get this match beforehand? Like, I mean,
there was no formal challenge. There was no anything. It was just like, I'm coming for your title or whatever the hell the line was. And then it was like, was that a challenge? I'm confused.
And listen, again, this is going to be a spicy take. So like for me, I understand because I'm like I know Xia Li English is not her first language, so I understand, especially when it
Hmm.
comes to a lot of our Asian and Pacific Islander wrestlers. Like English tends to not be their first language, which is a thing. However, I just think the way that they blocked it and how they're establishing the story for this is just like weird. I was just
Yeah,
like, if you're going to have Lyra like defend the title and squash somebody, like don't bring somebody from main roster. Like you have a whole roster of women. Like you could do like if you wanted to have a good match, but squash somebody. Like I don't know, get somebody like Kiana James to face Lyra first, or there's a whole bunch of women on that
yeah,
roster, and I feel like bringing Xia Li doesn't make sense because again, main roster people coming over to NXT, but also because I cover Monday Night Raw, go check out those reviews too. Xia Li is currently in a feud with Becky, so why are we pulling her all over the place like that? That's a little weird to me, but I don't know.
yeah. I don't,
But it seems that we're gonna get Lyra versus Xia Li, which I'm excited for on paper. But I'm just like, I don't like how this was set up. It was weird. It doesn't it doesn't service either woman. Like Xia Li is a badass. Like instead of her walking through the crowd, we should have seen her like beating people up backstage and making her way to the front and kicking people in the face or something. And
yeah,
then for
yeah,
and for
yeah.
this doesn't do this anything for Lyra too. Like I love that Lyra is gonna be a fighting champion, but she didn't she kind of seemed lost a little bit during the segment. Like it was very
Hmm.
contrived and they tried their best, but it didn't work out.
Nope.
I don't know. Um oh, I completely skipped over something. So before this Lyra and Zaya thing, we had the women's backstage area where
Oh yeah,
but it was so short. I wish this was longer because it was
yeah.
like 15 seconds worth of everything. So basically, Lola's backstage. She's rubbing it into all the women that she won the breakout tournament. Kalani gets feisty, which I love to see. She's like, whatever makes you sleep better at night. I'm like, damn. I was just like, Kalani Jordan, we are getting spicy out here. And then Lola keeps talking her smack. And then who should come in but the winner of last year's tournament, Roxanne Perez, like sticking up for Kalani. And Lola just is like, everybody leaves. And then Ariana Grace and Carmen were sitting there. Ariana Grace was trying to be Miss NXT, and Carmen's like, shut up. And just they all walk off stage. I was like, yes, Carmen, I'm here for you immediately.
Oh my god, it was so funny. I just, yeah, yeah.
But I wish that was a little bit longer than the in ring
Me
because
too.
I love Lyra, but yeah, no, we
Well,
shall see.
and here's the other thing. I think that this was a jip to Lyra. You know, give her this moment at a big event.
Hmm.
Not a rebound episode.
Yeah,
This should have been at the pay per view is what this should have been at. This should have been a or the go home show. It needed to be something bigger than what it was. I thought it was a huge when she came out. I was like, okay, and then she started talking. And I was like, this feels wrong. I was literally like, you shouldn't be doing this here now. You need to be doing this
yeah,
later. This needed to be a big event. This needed to be a big event because it to me, hello, she just won a fucking championship from Becky Lynch. And this is how it felt like a jip to me. I was like, is this how you're going to treat her? Cuz during the last the second night of Halloween Havoc, we got all that wonderful stuff about her, and then this is what you do, and then you interrupt it with Zaya. I'm just like, this just felt wrong to me. It just totally felt like it was in the wrong place, wrong time. And my thoughts about main roster people coming over to NXT. It drives me crazy because there's so many other women that are deserving of a chance to go against Lyra for this championship. But if you keep bringing main roster people down, those women are not going to get a shot at it, and that drives me crazy. And don't get me wrong, and it's nothing against the wrestlers themselves. It's the owners and the programmers, and they're like, ooh, this will be really cool because Zaya just had a thing with Becky Lynch. What if we bring her to NXT and she has a thing with Lyra? And I'm just like, this is not the place or time for it. If you want to do this, do this. But this needed to be set up at a later date, at a much bigger event, where what didn't just felt like it was folded into the laundry, because that's what it felt like. It's like, even though it was like 25 minutes long? I mean, it was long. It was like, it felt like hours. I was like, and you're right. And it felt like Lyra, to me, it felt like Lyra was like kind of fumbling through it a little bit. Like, they were like, okay, Lyra, go out there and talk. We're not going to tell you what to say. Just talk. And that's what it kind of felt like. It felt a little forced, like it was contrived. Like,
it was a thing.
And then you can disrespect Zaya by having her quote unquote sneak in through the audience. Why would you do that? You're right. Have her like coming from backstage, like, you better get out of my way. And then we see her knock some people out of the way, getting up into the ring. And I was just like, I don't know. It just felt wrong. It just felt wrong. And again, it had nothing, and just so all of our listeners know, it has nothing to do with the wrestlers. It has to do with the programming. This programming was all over the place, and I think this particular segment it should not have been in this episode.
No, I think it shouldn't have gone on for so long, and I think this was a weird place to put it, and I think you should have built up to Lyra confronting Zyla.
Yep.
Like I said, like, Lyra should be backstage, and then all of a sudden, like, Zaya's attacking women backstage just because.
Yeah.
And, like, Lyra doesn't stand for it, and then they come face to face. I don't know. This is just lazy storytelling to me.
It was.
And it does nothing for Lyra or Zaya, because I'm like, the end result is Zaya's not taking this title off of Lyra, but I'm like, make her look credible, though. Like, both of them
this
do.
Is what I would have liked. I would have liked Lyra to call Zaya out for attacking Becky, for, fighting Becky and doing all this bullshit. That's what should have been happening. She's like, you want to fight somebody? Come fight me. You want this. I mean, that's what it should have been. And then I would have been far better on it. And then Zaya comes in kicking ass, going,
that makes me so mad, because it was wow. See, oh my, see, that's now I'm even more mad. Now I'm even more hot about
because and the reason it should have been that way is because usually it's the way they did it tonight. The main roster is the one that comes in and throws the fit. You have Lyra Valkyria, who just won this freaking title off of Becky Lynch. You have her call them to her, not them call her to them.
Literally, you play into the name. You play into her name, which is closely spelled like a Valkyrie. A Valkyrie calls people to battle.
Exactly, and that's what it should have been.
Oh my god!
Been her in the middle of that ring, going, Zaya Lee, you bring your ass here right now. You want somebody to fight? You come fight me. Then have Zaya coming in, kicking people's asses to get out of the way to get into that ring, and be like, "Oh, you think you're big and bad? I took your mentor Becky Lynch to the mat. You want to do this?" And Zaya should have been like, "Bitch, let's do it now." And they're like, "No. Let's hold. Let's let the whole world see us fight. Let's do this at Deadline." And then that would have been a badass fight. I would have been like, hell yes. But no, what did they do? They weakened Lyra. They made her look weak.
They make Zaya look weak in this too.
Yeah. And so it's like you literally just made these two badass women look weak because of the way they did this. And, I mean, I don't know if that's what they were meaning to do. If it's what they were meaning to do, that was a stupid move. It was dumb. That was a dumb choice, because you need to be banking off of Lyra right now. She is like everybody's darling right now. She's it, So it really irritated me. And I was just like, this is wrong.
Oh my gosh. Now that you brought that up, now it makes me even more mad of how simple they could have fixed. Listen, Shawn Michaels, if you ever watch this review, like me and Will are willing to,
Yeah, I'll
hire
come. Yeah,
us for a week or two. Like we'd be happy to use our backgrounds
I'll
to
give you
create
some
some fun stories.
storylines to have fun with. Like it's like, bring it on, because that
I
was a
mean,
waste.
listen, if Shawn Michaels ever invites us, I definitely want to be down there. But at the same time, I'll probably get lost, like intentionally, to go find some of the talent. Be like,
Oh,
all
I
right,
would.
where's? I'll be like, all right, I need to get pictures of the Roxanne. I need to go say hi to Trick. I
Or at
gotta
least
find
go.
my, I gotta
I
find
need
my
to.
boy Wes.
I need to meet the talent so I can get to know them a little better, so we can get.
Just take pictures. Be like,
It's like this is just for this is just for our records. Click, click, click.
I love it so much. So
Yes, Shawn Michaels. If you ask me, I will say yes.
listen, it's a package deal. So if you ask
Yes,
Will, you gotta ask me.
indeed.
Please. All right. So, and then we get a long string of backstage segments. So, after Lyra and Zaya, we get a quick little vignette of our good little strong boy Tyler Bate hyping up his match later tonight. I was like, every time I see Tyler, I'm like, damn, Tyler, I forget you are tiny. You are a tiny
He
human.
is. He's so small. I forget how little he is. Like in stature. I mean, he's a big personality, but my
Listen,
God.
listen, I'm not the tallest person in the room, but I think I'm taller than Tyler Bate, and that's saying something. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
This
there was
is
that. Then backstage we have Alpha Academy consulting Akira Tozawa after his loss, which that okay, the first half of this was actually gold. I love this. This was
yeah.
funny. And then, things got ruined when Drew Gulak, Charlie Dempsey, who needs a haircut, and the whole like bootleg version of Diamond Mine shows up. And
Yeah.
essentially this interaction between Drew Gulak and Otis, I was just like, Drew Gulak kind of fat shamed Otis without saying the words to fat shame him, but that's what it was giving. I was like, ooh, see, I don't know how I feel about this. I was just like, but
Mm-hmm.
what ended up happening in the match, I was just like, Karma's a bitch.
Bitch.
But essentially, this is where we get Otis versus Drew for later. I'm like, because somebody says not so nice things to you is sure, fine, whatever. Yeah. So that was that. And then randomly we get a backstage segment with one of the referee that was going to be a part of Braun and Vaughn. He's like, Shawn Michaels has told me that I need to use absolute discretion. I'm like, sir, you are the referee. No shade, but you are not Vaughn or Braun. So therefore, why was this shown? This was really
And
weird.
who was it that went into Shawn Michaels' office in the background? I couldn't catch it. I couldn't see who it
Oh my
was.
gosh, I forgot who was in there, but again, like I was so upset that I didn't have time to watch it a second time through because I was like,
Yeah, one of the women
everyone's going
fighters
in
went
and
in
out.
there. Yeah, one of the women fighters went in like while the referee was talking. This happens all night. This happened to the member because I sent you a message going, I'm laughing at all the background stuff that's happening. But yeah, that she the referee's talking, and then you see her go to the door, look at the door, open it, and walk in. And I was like, who is that? And I rewound it, and I was trying to see who it was, but I was at work and I was looking on a very small screen, so I couldn't tell who it was.
Again, the background people were outshining what was on screen, and that's a big problem.
This whole referee thing was like, what the hell is this?
And need I
It's like,
mind you, that, again, all this that I covered, this was not even backstage into backstage into backstage into our match. This is literally Tiffany starts her entrance. We get everything in between, and then we get to Fallon's entrance. NXT. I still don't get why we do this. I hate this part. Like, just give me all the segments together, go to commercial, and then you can come. I
yes.
was just like, it's so stupid. But after all that is said and done, we finally get to our next match of the night. This is an Iron Survivor Challenge qualifying match. On the women's side, this is Tiffany Stratton taking on Fallon Henley. I love Fallon, but Miss Tiffany. I
Yeah.
was like, why couldn't we get this match last week, you guys? Like, I get that you want to put in the Iron Survivor, but this could have been a fun match for Halloween Havoc.
And it was short. I mean, like, short.
I was like, you guys, Fallon Henley was an NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. Like, why are we doing her dirty like this? Same thing with Tiffany. She was
Yeah.
your former NXT Women's Champion, and we give them a. Ugh.
Literally, I mean, I was just like, I was watching it and I was like, okay, this is pretty decent. This is pretty good. And then it was done. And I was like, what? You didn't even give me a chance to like build up into it. You know, it was like,
I was like, I needed like 6 more minutes.
yeah,
Like, don't throw a commercial break in between because that also made me mad. I
no.
was like, we barely started. What do you mean we're going to commercial break? Like, what happened? I don't know. But Fallon kind of gets some offense in, but this is the Tiffy show. So Tiffany
Yeah.
Stratton dominates for the majority of this match and she picks up the victory. So Tiffany has earned the first spot into the Iron Survivor Challenge for at deadline for the women. So I was just like, I kind of figured Tiffany was going to win, but man, you could have given me more time and made me believe that Fallon could have stood a chance, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And then we head backstage where we look at probably the best
Again.
friendship in NXT right now. We have Wesley and Mackenzie backstage. Mackenzie is giving an interview to Wes. I'm happy to see my boy back on my television
Mm-hmm.
screen. I have missed Wesley. I have missed you so much. But Mackenzie asks Wes, how he feels being back and what his plans are. Wes says that he's happy to be back. You know, he couldn't, sitting at home didn't feel right, so he had to come back because he wasn't going to hang his head low forever. And he's out to get the North American Championship back from Dominic. And then, thus spoke Baron Corbin walking into the scene. I'm gonna let Will talk. I'm gonna let
Get
Will go.
this man off my television. Oh my God. I thought, maybe, just maybe, they would get this boy some like public speaking classes. And no, he opens his mouth and all I want to do is like stuff a sock in it. A dirty, dirty sock. Cause I just want to be like, shut the hell up. Nobody cares about your negative bullshit. Wait, oh I know. Wait, let me see. Your lines are, hey, you got to be careful about all that. Oh, you should be careful about all that. Oh wait, I don't give a shit. Every time. Those are his lines. Every time. And I'm like, I'm tired of you, dude. I wish I don't, I want him to go away somewhere. He needs to go on vacation. He needs to go on vacation. He needs to take a long walk off a short pier and go away.
The meme is
So,
popping up in my head. It's like, you need to leave.
I mean, yeah, seriously. Every time he comes on the screen, my soul drops. I mean, literally. I wish you could see me when I'm watching these things. He walked out and I was like, oh God.
You're just like, ugh.
Literally, I put my hand in my head and I go, oh dear God. And then he opens his damn mouth. And then I'm just like, why do they let him talk? Shut up. Shut up. Or at least get new dialogue. How about that? Get new dialogue because your I don't give a shit, dialogue is wearing thin. Because he does it again later on too. And it gets on my damn nerves. I cannot stand Baron Corbin. And I'm sure the man himself is probably the most amazing human being ever, but this character makes no fucking sense. None whatsoever. I don't know what he wants. And I talk about this in one of the other podcasts that we do when we do Impact Wrestling. Your character has to have something for me to hold on to. I need something that I can go, oh, okay, I see where you're at now. Now I'm on board with you. I don't have that with him. I'm literally like, let's go to Oz and let someone drop a house on you. I literally don't care. I don't care what happens to you. All I want is for you to get off my damn television. That's it. Calling Braun Breaker. We need a set of stairs backstage, please, and send his ass to the hospital so we can be rid of him for a few weeks. I mean, truly, that is where I am with Baron Corbin.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I have nothing to add. Again, I this is where another question came up. So it's like, okay, so we're building towards West versus Dominic, right? So, but then West and Baron are gonna. I don't know, man. This is weird, but we're gonna leave that because you said everything that needed to be said, and that was our heated angel moment with Will.
Yeah.
All right, so let's leave that behind. And we get into our next singles match, which I was very surprised at how much I actually really enjoyed this match. Braun Breaker versus Von Wagner. Like, this, I was very surprised. I was just like, I actually kind of like this match, and I didn't think I was going to.
I actually liked this match. This was actually my match of the night.
Same.
Which I was very surprised about because I thought this was going to be stupid. I thought it was going to be a stupid match. And man, it was really good. I was just like Vaughn. I mean, he was out for blood, man. And I will say this, I even enjoyed the moment when Vaughn was all like, oh, like he was being affected by his head injury. And then, of course, Breaker comes in and attacks him and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And they committed to everything. I did find it humorous. I did giggle, and I sent you a message about it. I was like, he literally walked in, took the thing off, and showed the scar. I was like, really? Man, I was like, okay. So that's why I was like, is this going to be a cheesy fight? Is this going to be just ridiculously stupid? But no, it was not. I honestly, I thought that Vaughn was going to win this match. The way he was wrestling and the way that, Braun, he was whooping Braun's ass. I was like, wow, talk about vengeance coming home to roost. Holy crap, it was so good. And then Mr. Stone got involved, and and I was like, oh, okay. It turned into a really good match. That's why I was like, wow, this was exciting. And then of course the ending happened, and I was like, well, this just got even better. I was like, who was the real winner here? And yeah, it was a great match. It was so good. It was so good. I think the note I put down was surprisingly good match.
I was surprised of how much I enjoyed it. I also love that they made sure to let us know about the scar. I was just like, oh my god.
He ran his hand down it. I was just like, oh my god. Oh my god.
I feel like we should recreate. Me and you, we need to get together, film some videos, and we'll recreate that scene.
That scene. It was so funny. He took the beanie off, and he dramatically turned his head, and he touched his head like, oh, the scar.
It was so corny and camp, but
And
I live for it.
I was living for it.
Right.
Living for it.
Of course, Braun picks up the victory here. So again, my next question is so what's next for Braun Breaker? Because right now, I still feel like we're spinning our wheels with him. He doesn't really have too much of anything going on. Who knows? Maybe they'll put him in an Iron Survivor Challenge match. I don't freaking know, man. But
you can't forget though. You cannot forget Vaughn putting him through the announcer's table. Vaughn put Braun Breaker through the announcer's table.
Yep.
And I was just like, and that's why I was like, who really won this match? And then Braun,
Real winner was me because I got to see it.
Me too. And then Vaughn and Mr. Stone's little homo session there at the end.
Oh my gosh!
Like she wants to shake his hand, and he's looking at the hand and looking at Stone, and takes the hand and he pulls him into him. And do the whole hugging thing. I was like, what is this? What is this? Because Vaughn was like looking like he was looking at the crowd like, should I do it? Should I do this? Should I hug him? I mean, it literally looked like he was looking for approval. And then he took the hand and pulled him in and like hugged him. And I'm just, of course, my little gay brain is just going to town. I'm like, I was like, what is going on here? And they even mentioned about,
in more ways than one, apparently.
And then was it, which one? Was it Booker T that said it? Or was it
Vic? One of the
Vic
two.
said it. Vic was the one that was like, well, he did say he was going to table somebody. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be Braun. He's going to table Braun. And he did. And I was living for it. I was living for that.
Jeez,
and then the homo scene afterwards was great. Great.
Oh man.
That's what made this match for me. I was like, who really won this match?
Me.
We did. We won this match.
Me, you did.
Oh God,
we won for love.
Good. Yes.
Love wins.
For that homoerotic love.
We're gonna get demonetized.
We are, and that's okay.
I'm cool for it. So
we're far enough into this. They're not gonna care.
That's very fair. Speaking of people who should be demonetized, we see next up Carmelo Hayes. Mackenzie asked the question we all need to know: did you attack Trick? And he had the long roundabout way of. You could have just said no, Carmelo. You could have said no, but you didn't say no, and it makes me suspect that you attacked Trick because of the fact that you didn't just outright say no. You went the roundabout way to say that I'm his friend. Blah blah blah. I was like, sir, this is a Wendy's. All you had to say was no.
And he never once said no.
I was like, sir.
Never once did he deny it.
It's like, sir.
Yep. Ollie was like, oh, we're friends. We've been friends. And I'm always there for him. I mean, I always have his back and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but you didn't say no.
All you had, even if you're lying, just say no. Deny.
Exactly. It's like, I didn't do it. Until they can prove you did it, you didn't do it.
Deny. That is the motto of life. Is just like,
he just kept
in the words of Shaggy, it wasn't me, bro. Like, be like, so you hit Trick in the back. It wasn't me. He was laying on the floor. It wasn't me. Oh my goodness. So again, this sets up for what we're going to get later. Then we get a very lengthy video package with the Brawling Brutes. And
this was like out of nowhere.
So, okay. So at first I thought that too, but then I remembered because Out the Mud last week called them out in their little video package promo, like for like 5 seconds. And so this is them answering it, but this was a long video package. This is like 5 minutes. Yeah. I was like, listen, I don't know about Will, but listen, anytime Rich Holland is on my television screen, I'm like, I'm not going to complain. I'm like, hey, Rich.
Well, I mean, it was so funny. This was
some peaky ass blinders stuff.
Yeah, and I know that OTM called them out in their little promo, but I'm like, but this was a really long response. I was like, I don't understand why this one was so long, but the other one was like really short. Because I mean, OTM's was not that long.
No, and this was weird because it felt so unbalanced. Because last week OTM like called out the Brawling Brutes of like 5 seconds of their promo, and then this was a 5-minute response to that 5-second call out. I was just like, it felt so unbalanced.
Yeah, and this felt like a movie, like a mini movie. Like this was like the streets of like Belfast or something. It was like. And OTM's was like a promo, like a live promo, like in the studio, and here we get the Brawling Brutes like on location. It's like
It it
it
was
was
listen, I
crazy.
enjoyed it, but I was just like, this
Mhm.
was a little bizarre, but
It was real. It was way bizarre. It was
yeah,
like
but Brawling Brutes versus OTM, I'm like,
I'm here for
so
it.
I mean, it's 3-on-2 right now, so I'm wondering if the Brawling Brutes' third member, Sheamus, will make his way to NXT, but who knows? We'll see what happens with all that. So next we get a very fun tag team match. Roxanne Perez and Kalani Jordan taking on Lola Vice and Elektra Lopez. This was a fun match as well. Though I will say before the match even started, Ariana Grace comes out, Miss NXT, Miss Universe, whatever you want to call her. She comes out, and then I'm just like, listen, I like the person. I hate this character. I really do. I do not like the Miss Universe types. But then Carmen answered my prayers because she beat Ariana Grace up.
She was so funny.
I was just like, you can't be mad at Carmen because like Carmen
Mm-mm.
is me right now. She'd be pushing people, be like, shut up. And then we got the match started proper. Yo, Kalani out here was MVP for me in this match.
Yeah.
And that's surprising because I was like, Roxanne's really good, but this was
Mhm.
Kalani's show, man. Like, I was like, girl, I was just like, girl, like, all right, let's go.
She was on fire. That man, I was watching this match, and I think I even texted it to you that how like spry and she was like she was like on it, man. And I agree, Roxanne's fantastic, but Kalani was just she was ablaze tonight, or on this episode. She was ablaze. I agree with you. I would say she is beyond my MVP as well because she brought it. She brought it. It was lit.
One thing I also did appreciate in this match is because Elektra Lopez did take the pin in this one for Roxanne and Kalani to win, which I think is good, and that's fine with me because you don't want to pin the person that won the tournament, who now has a future women's NXT Women's Championship match whenever they want. So
Right.
Elektra does take the pin here, but Lola didn't take the pin, so she still looks strong because she won the tournament. Kalani just boosted her stock even more for me.
Yeah, me
And
too.
Roxanne continues to rack up
Of
wins, which
course.
is so everybody wins in this one. Speaking of winning, I got to see Ilya Dragunov be nuts for a little bit in this next vignette segment where he literally vows that he's going to tear Baron Corbin a new one.
Which
And I was
I
just
was
like,
so here for.
"Oh, that's hot. What? Oh, let me pay attention to what he's actually saying."
Yeah, I know. Well,
Angry
you
Ilya does things to me.
wait, you forgot Joe Gacy.
Oh, that's right. Did I though? I'm just kidding.
Fair. I mean, I did actually question myself quietly. It's like, should I mention this?
Yeah, no, we got to talk about it. So
Because it
Joe Gacy,
was.
listen, listen. I don't know where we're going with the direction for
Don't
this
either.
character, and the positives aren't even related to character development. It's just like I'm slightly turned on with his nose ring now, and I don't know why.
Because he's hot now. I was like looking at him, going, he is like scruffy,
He's
and
embracing this bull
got the
lifestyle.
piercing, and I'm like,
I think I'm falling for a
okay,
psychopath, you guys.
yeah, serious. Me too. I was like, this Joe Gacy is like sexy crazy.
Now, where I'm gonna pause the line though is if this version of Joe Gacy puts on some glasses and says, let me take some pictures." I'm like, nope,
No,
we're
I
all right,
agree. I'm like,
Jeffrey Dahmer, nope, we're
no,
good.
we're good.
But
Thanks.
I was just like, I was being drawn into the nose ring. I was like, I want to pull it. What?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's so funny because when we first saw him, like a couple episodes back, after, when he was first coming out of Schism and he was being all, I didn't recognize him at first. I was like,
Me
who
neither.
is that? And then
Oh, that's Joe Gacy.
I was like, oh shit. I was like, what has happened to you, my dude? And then this one was even like crazier, and he looked even like rougher. And I was just like, then I was getting a little bit of a tingle, and I was like, oh hey, yeah, you can. I'll be cray cray with you if you want. I mean,
Let's watch the world burn together.
I'll join your cult now. If you're gonna look, if it's gonna be this look, I'm here for it.
I will drink your Kool-Aid any day.
Exactly. Literally, I'll drink your Kool-Aid, buddy boy.
So we move on from scruffy hotness to Russian
yumminess.
Bond villain hotness.
I know, Bond villain.
Ilya Dragunov is literally a Bond villain, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
I agree with you. He does give off Bond villain vibes.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, it'd be like Ilya Dragunov, this all in a less amount of words than I'm about to say. He's just going to rip Corbin a new one. I was like, yep. I agree. That's all that needs to happen.
Yes.
He's going to rip Corbin a new one.
Please, rip him in half. And then we don't deal with him anymore.
Destroy him.
Yes, send him packing. You know, and I will have to say this about this little promo. And this is why I like Ilya. Because he wasn't afraid to sit there and say, the fight with Carmelo Hayes, it wiped me out. Like, I had to bring everything I had to take him down. And he was complimentary to him, too. And I'm just like, see, this is a gentleman wrestler right here. I mean, yeah, he's cray-cray, but he knows. He is, like, completely transparent. He's like, yeah, Carmelo Hayes gave me a run for my money. He's like, and it was basically like, I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it through it. And I was like, wow, see, that's amazing to me. That here's a guy who's like a title champion now. And he's like, yeah, Carmelo Hayes he basically almost beat me because I was so exhausted because I literally spent everything I had to beat him. And I'm just like, damn, dude, see, this is why I like you. I mean, other than you're a good looking man, but I love this character so much. And I just want to be like, everybody, look at Ilya. Be more like Ilya. WWID.
What would Ilya do?
Or it could be WWDD. What would Dragunov do?
I love it.
You can do me.
I mean.
I just
stay tuned for the Patreon episode.
I know, right? Hey, you know, being a gay man, an older gay man than us, you know, it's okay and a married one. I am married, but it's okay. I can sit there and look and be like, yeah. I was telling Mikey off camera, and I'll tell you honestly, and I was like, sometimes I want to be a wrestler just so I could be literally between these hot guys' thighs. I mean, seriously. I mean, you know, I'm like, gay man, my man. I mean, I like the men's. And wrestlers are my type, really. The body type wise. You know, they're thick, and some of them are hairy, which is a plus. But yeah, Ilya, yeah, I'll wrestle you.
Or you'll allow him to just pin you to the mat.
Well, as long as he puts me in a couple of moves where I can be between those thighs, I'm good to go.
We're professionals here.
Nobody in this world can tell me that wrestling is not a homoerotic sport. Nobody. As many times as those men have their faces in each other's crotches, there is this is a legit, and I know we're off topic, and I'm sorry, but come on now. Wrestling is homoerotic. Why are there not more gay people involved in this? Like, watching it. Like, I want to, you know, I'm a gay man and I watch wrestling, and I want to meet other gay men who watch wrestling. You know, I mean, I want to find you, calling all gay men who watch wrestling. I want to meet you, or let's get together or something. I don't know. Because why are more of us not watching this? We've got sweaty hot men in very little clothing putting their faces in each other's crotches. And we got badass women kicking ass. It's a gay man's dream. Like, seriously. Why are there not more gay men watching this? You need to be. Calling all gay men in the world. Watch wrestling. You will not be disappointed.
Thank you for coming to Will's TED Talk.
Okay, now back to the matches. Sorry.
You are all good. I loved it. I am saving this. I am writing down the time frame to make this into a clip for later.
Yay! I've become a clip.
Alrighty. So after Ilya promises to rip Baron a new one, honestly, we could. So next we get Otis versus Drew Gulak. This match was short. It served its purpose. We got to see the bowling ball Otis do the caterpillar, which Will
That
had
was
not seen
so
before.
funny. I was crying laughing.
Otis is
Crying.
so good. Will, I love Otis so much.
He is fun. He is so fun. Ah.
And I mean, yeah, honestly, this was just for Otis to have a good time. And, that's exactly what happened. So Otis picks up the victory here. I will say, I forgot to mention this, but Alpha Academy will be back next week because they will be on the Supernova sessions with Noam Dar and Metaphor on their little talk shows. So that should be interesting to see. Then again, we go backstage where we see people in the background doing stuff. But this one,
Who were those two? Who were those two dudes? Before we get into what was that? Who were the two dudes in the background? Who were they? Do you know who they were?
I have no clue, bro. Because I was looking, I was like, I don't. I was like, I don't recognize them. I was like,
And they
who are
had
they?
face. That was face makeup. Because at first I thought it was a mask, and I was like, "Is that somebody like in a Halloween mask? Is this like Halloween Havoc leftovers? What is this?" And then I saw them talking, and I saw the makeup was moving. So I was like, "Oh my god, he's wearing makeup!" And then the thing ended, and then the other guy came out of from behind the wall, which was not creepy at all. And he all looked at us, and he turns and leaves.
I'm like, what is happening right now? But
Yeah.
Tiffany and Kiana James are talking. I was just like, Tiffany and Kiana kind of like being a team. Like, I'm actually kind of here for it.
Me too. It'll be the worst team ever, but I love it.
I know, but
Because they just want to kill each other.
yeah. I was just like, again, they're gonna kill each other.
It was
I love
great, actually. It
it's
really
great.
was great, though.
So now we get into the next chapter of the drama and Chase U. Listen. The drama in Chase U be like the best thing right now.
Oh, it's the
'Cause
best.
this is the best thing that's being built to mystery. So first, we see JC. She's waiting to talk to Andre by himself, and then Tony and Stax come and to give her an envelope to give to uh Andre. And so as she's about to open it, Andre walks in and he's like, that's illegal, right? And she's like, what? I wasn't going to do anything about it. And so then they begin to talk because JC's like, listen, I need to know what the family, like, what is your deal with Tony and Stacks? Like, why, like, what's going on? And, Andre says that there's nothing going on. As she's about to grill him further, Duke and I love that JC shuts up because Duke and Thea walk in and she's trying to protect both of them at this point. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, she's playing the big older sister. And so then they get asked, like, what's in the context of the envelope? And Andre Chase opens it up. He looks like he saw a ghost. And then he's like, these papers say that it is a rematch. So next week, we're going to get a rematch with the family and Chase U for the tag team championships. And as everybody leaves, Andre Chase continues to look at this envelope like he saw his rap sheet. Like, this is blackmail. I was like, what blackmail do they have on you, Andre Chase? Tell me. Even your dog is excited.
I know they got excited for it.
They're like, blackmail. I am so invested to see, like, what does the family have on Andre? What did he do? How is he connected to Tony and Stacks? Like,
Okay, so
this is
all right.
great.
So let's talk about this a little bit more. So, all right, so JC's there. They come in with the envelope. She's like, got it. She opens it. She pulls it out a little bit and she's like, oh, and he comes in, he's like, don't you know that's illegal, which is hilarious. But the thing about this whole thing that I thought was so funny is that there was an entire class of people sitting there that we weren't even aware of, but they were watching all of this happen. And I'm like, because he's like class dismissed, and it turned, and I was like, wait,
What?
They were sitting there the whole time.
Leave no witnesses.
I know. It's like, now we got to kill them all because they all saw it. And then I thought it was so funny when JC was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, you guys are rematching the family next week," and then I was like, she just set them up into a tag team match. I was like, JC, what are you doing? I love it. Keep doing it.
She's being an instigator, and I'm here for
love
it.
it.
Like, there's no real evil purposes. She's just she just be instigating just to instigate. I was like, I love me a good pot stir.
Me too. She's like, I'm gonna find out what's going on, so we're gonna have a match with them, so I can dig deeper. Because I'm just like, what is he hiding?
And I was just like, listen, I was like, every week this goes on, it makes me love Thea more. Well, I love Thea, but it makes me love JC more and more because she legit, she's like, oh, I don't care about Chase U. They're losers. And she's like, no, you are not going to hurt Duke and you are not going to hurt Thea. I was like, I'm protecting my siblings, quote unquote. I love this dysfunctional family. I cannot wait.
And I want it to stay.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where the match goes. And I hope we don't have to wait long in order to figure out like what he did. Scandal. So next we get into I melted by before this match even started because like once I saw who was in the ring. So we get another Iron Survivor Challenge qualifying match. And this one saw Dijak taking on our strong little boy Tyler Bate. And I have to say, I had to pause my television. And in the words of Kennedy Davenport, drag queen, I had to collect myself. I needed a moment because I was just like, Lord have mercy. I was like, I have a complex, you guys. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I had to stop it and walk away for a little bit.
It's like I need to go hydrate myself because I'd be thirsty out here.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I like this match. I just wish Tyler got more offense in.
Yeah.
Because Dijak was overpowering him pretty much 75% of the match.
You know, and this is the one that was set up by
Mick Foley.
And you know, and it's so funny because Dijak had a vignette earlier that I think we forgot about, and he was talking about, you know, he was even calling it out as being a poor choice. Like, and I agree.
I'm going to destroy people.
I think that but I agree. I think Tyler was outmatched in this match. I don't think it was a fair fight.
I don't think so either. So, and that's what made me think. I was like, I'm happy that Dijak won because Dijak is finally this will be Dijak's first Iron Survivor Challenge. So this will be the first time he's in this match. And I'm like, finally, let's start pushing him to go after some gold here. Because
agreed.
I think he's had some good body of work. He's had some fun matches with people, but I think now it's time to start pushing him into a championship picture, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Though, if I'm going to be honest, if I wanted a more fair fight, I would have taken out Dijak and put in the person he recently just had a feud with. I would have loved to see Tyler versus Eddie. Like, that would have been a fun match.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would have been a good one.
Similar statures, kind of similar styles, very unorthodox in their offense. And also, like, Eddie Thorpe's entrance is one of my personal favorites personally.
And if I was going to put someone with Dijak, I would have put Braun Breaker with him.
Yes, we could have had that match. Great. Like they're both strong. They're both like powerhouses. Ooh,
that would have been
again. Shawn Michaels, me and Will are available.
I know. Come on, man, give me a call.
Seriously. Listen, I will tag along. I will be the bag boy. I will be like the secretary. Like, I don't care.
Jump into my DMs, Shawn Michaels. Jump into my DMs.
Yes. But yeah, I mean,
it wasn't a bad fight. It was actually really good.
It was. I was just like, but I wanted it to be more fair, and and I agree with you. I think Tyler was outmatched in this one. So I do know that because there's 5 qualifying matches, and if they're gonna do it like last year, the 5th one is the losers will fight it out. And the person who wins will get that final spot. So the people who lose will get one more shot. So the 5th match always ends up being a final shot kind of
Okay.
match to see who gets it. So hopefully we'll see who the rest of the losers are and see what happens with that. So we get the news, that my girl, one of my girls, the legend herself, Miss Lita, will be in charge of choosing the matches for next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see who Lita picks for the women and the men. So that should be fun. So then we get to our main event. It's not a match though, which was
Yeah.
weird. I was like, there was no match. I was like, oh, okay, fine. So we get the drama that is Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Like, I will say it started off great because
It
Trick
did.
and Carmelo are going back and forth. Trick
Yep.
is telling Carmelo, it's just like, yo, bro, like what's happening? Like,
Yep.
what's going on? Trick is
Yep.
Carmelo's just like, bro, I have your back. I've always had your back. I wanted to see you succeed. Trick Williams is kind of not buying it a little bit. So Trick is trying to get to the bottom of how Carmelo feels. He is being a psychologist and a therapist because he wants to get to the root of the issue. And you know what? I was on board. But then all of a sudden, Lexus King's music hits. I was confused.
Me too.
I was perplexed. So,
Yeah, when this first started, and before we get into Lexus, when this first started, when Carmelo and Trick were doing their thing, again we get Trick saying, "Hey, this happened, and I didn't see who it was, and blah blah blah." And man, Carmelo just kept skirting the issue. And either they're doing a really, really good job of making us think it was Carmelo, or he is doing a really, really bad job of hiding it. So, and then of course, then the Lexus King thing happened, and I was like, what the hell's going on now?
I found this really weird because Lexus King doesn't have any connection to Carmelo or Trick.
No.
And unlike JC, who makes the perfect pot stirrer, like having him be a pot stirrer doesn't make sense to me either.
Because
like,
he hasn't been involved in anything until
we
now.
barely had him. Like, we got his in-ring. We've had vignettes. We got his in-ring debut 2 weeks ago. We had a weird backstage interview with Mackenzie last week. And now we're throwing him to be little instigators. So I was like,
Didn't make any sense. It made no sense.
no. So again, Lexus stirs the pot a little bit, which I hated. And so I did like the line where both Carmelo and Trick told him that, this is grown folk business.
Grown folk business.
He needs to stay out of it. And then the shot around the world happens. So Trick he gets tired of Lexus's antics. And so Trick winds up and he goes to punch Lexus, but Lexus ducks out of the way and Trick Williams hits Carmelo square in the jaw.
Oof.
In the face, bro. And Carmelo goes down. He sells that beautifully. And Trick's like, oh my God, I just hit my best friend. And Lexus kind of gets out of there. I was
smiles.
Like, what weirdo. So Trick goes to pick up Carmelo, like they're good, they hug it out, and then the camera pans on Carmelo's face with the money shot because Carmelo was pissed and he had an evil look on his face. I'm like, oh, it begins.
Mm-hmm. Officially. The official beginning of the end.
Which on the one hand, I'm sad that Trick Mellow Gang is gonna be breaking up, but I'm telling you, I live for the drama.
This was
this is gonna be juicy.
It is. I mean, this whole thing was great until Lexus King got involved, but I mean, it was good. I was like, and and it's so funny how they set it up. It's like when Trick's like, did you? And then Carmelo jumps in with like, support you and be your friend.
I was like, it could go one of two ways. It's so good.
God. But yeah, then we end with that look on his face. And I was just like, ooh.
Yep, and that's how NXT goes off the air. So now let's get into our ratings. So I'll go first. Out of a scale of 10, I'm going to give this like a solid like 6.9 out of 10. Again, I don't think that's a horrible score because there was some good stuff, but I think what brought it down a lot for me is just some weird choices in terms of like where things were placed, like what we got for vignettes and backstage segments, as well as who was involved in certain segments. Like Drew and Otis was a fun match, but like I don't get why it was
What was
there
the
if we're not
purpose?
gonna if because especially if Alpha Academy is going to be going up against Metaphor, like there's no reason for them to fight Drew and like interact with his posse unless they get involved somehow. Lexus didn't need to be there for Trick and Carmelo. Xia Li and Lyra Valkyria was probably my low point because that was a mess. It went way too long. Both women were kind of looked like they were kind of just thrown out there, be like, okay, figure out what we're gonna do. And I feel like it didn't do anything for anyone. And I mean, yeah, there was just a lot of questionable choices. So 6.9 out of 10.
Okay, well, mine was a 6. Good, some good matches, some not so much. I think what really killed me was the Lyra spot. That it felt wrong. It was, and I think it was a disservice to both of those wrestlers. Um, a lot of the backstage stuff was just weird. I mean, there was, I don't know. Anyway, my high points were like the, believe it or not, was the Braun Breaker Von Wagner fight was fantastic. The women's fights were great. They were too short, but they were great. And I mean, but there weren't a whole lot of memorable moments from this episode. Like, truly, I'm like thinking, like, oh, what was my favorite moment? I didn't really have a favorite moment. I mean, other than, well, that's not true. I did have a favorite moment. That's when Wagner put Breaker through a table. I was like, that was my favorite moment. And then the hug at the end. But yeah, I mean, it was like I said, it wasn't a bad episode. It just was it's an odd episode. So I'd say it's about a 6 out of 10.
That is fair. And unfortunately, well, that does bring us to the end of another Los Chicos Gordos review. But fear not, my friends, because we will be back next week as the road to deadline continues and we can hopefully progress it more than what we got for this episode. So we shall see what happens. But if you like this review, you could check out the other NXT reviews as well as pretty much every other weekly show that we cover here at the Biconics YouTube channel. You can follow us on BC WrestlePod all over the social medias to get notifications when videos go live, some meme stuff, as well as out of context clips where I'm not going to use my editing powers to get a clip of Will going on his very queer friendly rant. I'll ask
So,
you permission before I post it,
oh, you can
obviously.
post it. I don't care.
Okay. And if you thought that was unhinged and you thought we were a little more unhinged than usual tonight, you got to go subscribe to our actual podcast, the Biconics Wrestling Podcast, because that's where things go bananas. And we're gearing up for the end of the year podcast where we talk about everything that happened this year. So this is where we fight. This is where we tell each other we're wrong. We give the hottest takes. It was so chaotic when we did it last year, and that was just 4 people. Now that there's 9 of us, ooh girl. It's about to go down. But like I said, that is going to be it for us here at Los Chicos Gordos. But for myself and Will, as well as the other Biconics guys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, stay Biconic, you beautiful bastards. Until the next review, we'll catch you later.